All right, everyone, going to be touching on the top prop bets to go with the Taco Tuesdays. We have about an hour left of the afternoon taco, and then we'll have the evening taco that's coming up as well. So I'm trying to find the best bets to pair with those ones. So looking at, we are still getting the Erik Karlsson one at 2.5 shots on goal. That's at minus 137.6. Still a decent one. I'm perfectly fine with using that one. We also do have Alex Tuck here at over 2.5 shots on goal. That is set at minus 138. Now, if we pull up his game log, we can see over the last 4 games, been a little bit hit or miss. 6, 1, 6, and then 3, and then 2. Just seemed like a dud there, I guess, against the Rangers. I didn't look into it. It's probably just had a lot of missed shots on goal, I'm assuming. But yeah, this is the best NHL prop that we're getting. If you want to pair that, just take a favorable odd bet to go with the taco, that's perfectly understandable. I get that. But that's the best one that we're getting. If you guys want to use that Erik Karlsson one from this morning, you can as well. That one's still out. So MLB wise, the best prop that we're going to be getting is the Sandy prop for over 5.5 hits. That honestly seems like a lot to me. Minus 140 though for that over to hit. And so if you guys want to take that, you can. And I probably do have a little bit of bias. He's one of my pitchers in fantasy baseball. So in all honesty, that probably has a lot to do with it, why I kind of had that preconceived bias. But that's really going to be the best MLB prop that we have going thus far. And this is kind of just typical of PrizePicks on Taco Tuesday. They are very much aware of the strategy and they are adjusting to it throughout the whole day. And then just looking at the other props that we are getting that we could potentially do, these are all okay. We do see the Dylan kind of pitcher strikeouts prop. This has been bumped to 4.5 now, but that is favoring the under. So that's one that we had earlier today, but really nothing too elite other than the Sandy one. If you guys want to use that with it, you certainly can. Let's go on and get into NBA DFS. So on the NBA side of it, that's where it really kind of gets interesting for me. Once again, they are very tight with the lines right now. These have come and gone for some decent ones that we are getting. As always, I kind of want to show you guys what it looks like without the fantasy points for really the lines that we're getting where they're not matching up with what the sportsbooks are putting out there. So let's just sort by prop line difference, see if we can find any really strong bets. And we can see Drew Holiday right off the bat, over points, minus 126 to get over 18 points. If you bump that down to 17.5, it would definitely be closer to minus 137. So that's a decent one that we're getting. I do expect him to have a good game with Grayson Allen and with Chris Middleton off the court. He should be able to go out and have a good game. Another one that we are seeing here, basically a push, would be Cameron Johnson for over 16.4 points. Average PrizePick line, or the PrizePick line has it set at 15.5, so that's a decent one, not a lock and load. Towns, this one is definitely interesting to me. I have looked at this one, haven't decided if I want to roll with it just yet. We do have points and assists as well, kind of just the same thing. Obviously, he has been someone that's been stepping up into a better role, a bigger role. Very interesting here for Johnny Davis as well. Johnny Davis is someone that plays for Washington, and he has been someone that has been going out and shooting the basketball a ton in his last 2 games where obviously, they've been without Porzingis, Kuzma, Beal, and now Monte Morris. I expect him to get the minutes, and really this just depends on if he's going to start and if he has a relatively decent game shooting the basketball. Regardless of the game blowing out or not, I do expect him to have a good game. I don't really know if I agree with the rebounds there as well, attaching that on there. That could just be a situation where maybe we're just doing the points. I don't know. I don't really agree with that one. Or maybe you just go with the points or the rebounds. I'm probably just staying away from that. Just interesting that was popping up. We are seeing a difference between what the sportsbooks are putting out there and what PrizePicks is putting out there. And then let's do that for the opposite as well. The biggest difference, and it's probably not one I'm touching, would be Joachim Poeltl. Under points, rebounds, and assists. Yeah, I'm not touching that one. So to me, this is kind of much more of a kind of game theory type of day that we have, okay? We did get some news on some injuries and whatnot. We know Charlotte is still banged up. I don't mind Zvi for over 26.5 fantasy points. He's been someone that has been going out and producing really, because he's the only one that's out there. Now, what's unfortunate is that that's really the only prop that we are getting for Charlotte, as well as JT Thor, but he's really just a afterthought in terms of who we'd want to be targeting. And if we look at it, kind of the appeal here would be hoping that we get a couple of steals. Okay, because the turnovers have been there. We really need the steals to offset the turnovers that are there. And I guess we could potentially do points, rebounds, and assists if we wanted to. He did just go off against Toronto as well. Not terrible. It feels like it'd be kind of one we're forcing in there, but not terrible. Per 36 numbers would suggest that he should be able to get over as well, as long as the game stays close enough for long enough. So Corey Kispert was originally someone I was staying away from, but now that we got news that Denny is also going to be out tonight, that means that Kispert should be forced into just a lot more minutes tonight. And I was really hoping that we would get some DeLon Wright props. We're not getting those, unfortunately. And it's probably because they don't know how to properly prop him, and they decided just to not do it, which does suck because 2 nights ago that was basically a free square. But if we look at the per 36 numbers here for Washington, without Beal, without Porzingis, without Kyle Kuzma, without Denny, and without Monte Morris, it's actually a very small sample size. So like, let's not go too crazy with it. In 100 minutes or so, and yeah, that's not even worth using that. Let's take Denny out of that sample. All right, so in about 200 minutes, Kispert averages 18.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 1.3 assists, and about 26 fantasy points per 36. So we can see that's exactly what we're getting here. So I don't exactly love that, I guess. I don't know. I just feel like he's going to be forced into a bigger role. His usage isn't actually that much higher. It actually Kendrick Nunn that's popping up. As I'm looking at this more, I don't know how much I love it. I thought this was going to be my favorite one. I mean, I still like it. Don't get me wrong. It seems too low. Just interesting there. Another prop that I personally kind of like would be Nick Claxton over 33 fantasy points, 33.5. Now, Claxton has been getting a ton of run lately. The only issue that he has is kind of this matchup with Minnesota, although I'm not too worried about it. We did just see him have a pretty good game against them not too long ago. Had a bunch of blocks in that game. Now, obviously, that was without Towns, but Claxton has been someone that's been going off via the blocks, so not a terrible one. I typically do like to attack the bigs just in general. They're a little bit easier to predict. Oh, wow, this has gotten bumped as well. So we do know that Colin Sexton is going to be back tonight, okay? But it was Lauri Markkanen that was ruled out. Now I don't know exactly what to do with Horton Tucker. So Colin Sexton's going to be playing point guard. We know that. I don't think he's on a minutes limit at all. And Horton Tucker should still be in for a high usage role. But maybe the better route to go would be maybe points, rebounds, and assists. But even then, I don't really love it. Just given the fact that Colin Sexton is going to be back, he's going to be commanding some more usage. He's going to be handling a lot more of the point guard role. So that's tough. I'm probably staying away from that one now. I do find Skylar Mays kind of interesting, and I am still waiting on kind of the confirmed starting lineup. They are just so thin, Portland is. Like, looking at it right now, they're going to be without Ryan as well. Is Harrison really going to play that much? Probably not. So it's going to be Sharp and Mays playing a ton of minutes, and especially if Cam Reddish is ruled out. And also Kevin Knox. We're still waiting on the minutes for those guys, because if they sit, we know Mays is going to get like 36 or so minutes, 38 or so minutes. That'd be huge for his prop then, because then it'd be easy to predict him to have a good game. And to get a lot of minutes. Then I'm wondering if we're going to get a Sandro prop, because we do know that Zach Collins is out, Keldon Johnson is out, Jeremy Sochan's out, Devin Vassal's out. A lot of the Spurs starters are out tonight, so I was wondering if we were going to get that prop. It doesn't seem like it. What's interesting is that they are going to be running out then Trey Jones, Devontae Graham, and then Branham all in the starting lineup as a projected starting lineup. And so if that's true, I don't mind Branham there, but also like these all kind of feel like we're forcing them. PrizePicks has done a really good job lately of setting the prop lines. And man, I wish I had a better feel for it today, honestly, because they're so tight with the lines that, oh my goodness. All right, here we go. Here it is. I don't mind this one, actually, as long as Jalen Duren stays out of foul trouble with Bagley off the court. This could be one I messed with here. Jalen Duren. I've been waiting for this one. Let's see the other props that we're getting for him. Interesting. I might have to do that as long as he stays off foul trouble. And I did just see one get added in there. John Collins over 13.5 fantasy points. That one's favored at -140 on average across the sportsbook. So I do think we could use that one. The Johnny Davis ones, those are super interesting. I don't really get it. I could see doing rebounds and assists. Gosh, that's frustrating. I think we could maybe do a stack. Kispert, I don't mind that, I guess. Doing some sort of Milwaukee stack where I think Giannis is going to go off in this game. All right, so real quick, let's do a stack. Like Bobby Portis is someone that does benefit with Chris Middleton and Grayson Allen off the court. He actually has the most minutes. I kind of expect him to have a good game. I'm not sure if we would do fantasy score, although I expect him to have a good game. I actually don't mind that. I could see doing maybe points, rebounds, and assists, but for a stack, maybe do that. And then with that, we could run out Giannis over fantasy points as well. In games where the Bucks are blowing out teams, he's the reason why. So I don't mind that approach as well then. And then we could still do Corey Kispert over fantasy points there as well. So kind of a small game stack. We got 4 players in their total then. Not terrible. And then obviously we could use some sort of Johnny Davis prop as well then, that the sportsbooks were saying they were valuing a little bit higher than price. All right, so here are my favorite bets of the day. Obviously, these first 3 are going to be -140 bets. Actually, Alex Tuck has been bumped up to -140 now, so that's one that I think we can take. So yeah, these are all going to be odds-based bets really right here. okay? And then these ones right here are going to be more or less, we're trying to game the game. And these are game theory plays, more or less. Giannis in games that are blowouts, he is the reason why, and he's been going off. Obviously gets a soft match against Washington. And low-key, I think he's going for the MVP still. Corey Kispert, we're really just hoping that the game stays close for long enough. He's really the only last man standing. I wish we were getting a prop for DeLon Wright, and that's kind of why it feels like I'm forcing it with Kispert, because I don't know, I kind of wanted some exposure to that game. Probably a little bit of bias there. And then Svi as well. I don't know how much I love this one. I wish we were getting a better, like, points, rebounds, and assists I feel better about. He did just go off against Toronto, though, and he's kind of also the last man standing there. In theory, like, I would say more times than not, given this situation, these two would get there. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. And then with it being such like a big slate, NBA slate today, we are getting some other really kind of strong props as well. I typically like to go with fantasy score. For me, that's personally easier to kind of wrap my head around, especially when we're not just doing like points props, where we're kind of gaming the game by going like Vegas prop lines. Here, Bobby Portis does typically have more minutes when Chris Middleton and Grayson Allen are off the court. So we could see them shift to that unit. It's just more or less, if it's a blowout, how much run does Bobby Portis get? So that's a decent one. Nick Claxton, he's just been someone I kind of been rolling with. He's been playing a lot of minutes. The only issue would be, the two biggest against Minnesota. Skylar Mays, I'm more or less just betting on one of Kevin Knox and also or Cam Reddish sitting. And then we look at Kevin Durant. Honestly, this one seems too low against the Spurs. Just how many minutes will he get? I mean, he should be able to feast against them. And then Branham, just with all those players out, he is someone that I think is going to step up into a bigger role. Small sample size, but per 36, he does crush this fantasy score. So really just depends on that. We are kind of taking some educated guesses on some potential values that are out there, that would be out there, I guess, for DFS as well. So educated guesses there. And that's where it's risk reward based today. But that's all for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.